Hey y'all, what's going on? We're gonna put some brakes on this 2006 Chevrolet Impala. I've been putting it off for a while, over a year. I was told I needed brakes. I took the brakes, took one of the wheels off and looked at the brakes, and I was like, you know what? I can get a lot more life out of that. Well, it's been at least a year, and the brakes have been riding around in the back seat of my 91 Camaro. So it's time to put some brakes on. I'm at least going to do one side today of the rear, and tomorrow I may do the other side of the rear. So right now I just put this jack under it. I'm about to get the car jacked up, trying to find my tools, and we'll get this wheel off and see what we got going on. I did also, if you'll notice, this lug nut looks a little newer, a little nicer than the rest of these. I did buy some new lug nuts, and I'm going to replace the rest of these lug nuts with some just like this. And it's because the back side of these lug nuts are just totally galled up and destroyed looking, and just wanted to put something on there better. All right, let's get this wheel off, get this car jacked up. These lug nuts are a 3/4, so I just want to let you know that. So before you finish jacking the car up and the wheel's still sitting on the ground, you want to go ahead and break these loose, because if you've got the car jacked up and the tire's free spinning, now I did put the emergency brake on, but it's just easier to go ahead and just break them loose, you know, the worst part of it, while the car is still sitting on the ground. Then you can proceed with jacking the car up and taking the rest of the nuts off. Okay, be safe when you get this thing jacked up. Put some blocks underneath it. You never know, your jack could fail. I actually have had one of these jacks fail before, and it was in the process of jacking the car up, so I didn't have the wheel or anything off of it. So these are the jacks that come with these cars. I'm actually not sure if this is the one that came with this car or not, if it's an extra. I didn't take this out of the car. I did have one for our other Impala here in the carport, but I can't locate it. Maybe it is this one. I don't know. It seems a little rusty to be this one. But anyway, I've got some blocks underneath here in case the jack fails. It'll fall on these blocks instead of falling on me. All right. So the one on the left is the one that I had replaced once before, and the one on the right is what was already on there. And they're probably the original stock ones. You see how they're kind of beat up from impacts and rusty on the back side. And this one was in real bad shape as far as the taper. I guess it had galled some, or they had obviously been way too tight to start with. So these are the kind that are actually, this top part where the hex is and all the way up to where the end of my fingernail is, that's actually a cap that's squeezed on there in shape. These aren't solid. So if you look through the inside, what you see on the back side of, you know, the bottom of the hole is the top of this cap that's pressed onto here. See, this is the same way. I bought these off of eBay, and they look exactly the same as the original. What I had done is I had gone on one of the auto parts websites, O'Reilly's or AutoZone or something, and looked these up. And then I looked up the same part number on eBay and bought a set of these. I don't remember what I paid for them, but second thought, I got to thinking, I was like, you know, I really should have bought the solid ones, because if somebody gets these too tight, you can, which is what happened at this one, you can end up twisting this cap on here, and you can really have a really hard time getting it off. But the solid ones, obviously, they're not going to twist. You know, a solid one's going to be a lot better than one that's capped. The capping is the cheaper way to do it versus a solid piece. All right, so I got them off, and let me get this wheel off, see what these brakes look like, and get them off here, put some fresh ones on. So y'all, when you take your tire off, now's a perfect opportunity to check this thing out, see what kind of condition it's in. I mean, I knew I needed tires anyway. I don't know what that is sticking out of there. Oh, that's tire. I think that's not good. Well, I knew I needed tire. Oh, a nail. Fantastic. Hey, at least it hadn't been leaking. And this on the inside, these Impalas seem to be bad about wearing like this on the inside of the tires. And I think it's because they end up rubbing against here sometimes. You know, whenever your rear bounces or something like that. I mean, I've never heard it make impact, but you know, the front and the rear will both be like that. Over time, they'll wear on the inside like that. But that bothers me. The wire and this. Like I say, it's really important to check out your tires when you take them off. That lets me know that it's a lot more urgent to get a tire. I was actually planning on putting it off a little bit longer. So that may be a this month thing. All right, just be wise, take care of your stuff, be aware of what you got on your car. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take these bolts loose on the back of the caliper, and that's gonna be a 14 millimeter. Right back here and here. All right, let's see, we got some clearance issue here maybe. I may have to end up getting a 14 millimeter closed in wrench for that. And for here, I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that goes. So this is what I had to refer to. Closed in wrench and a hammer. So whatever works. I didn't have enough space in here and I couldn't get enough leverage to, I mean, I could put the socket wrench in here, but I just couldn't get enough strength on it to break it loose. I was hitting the socket wrench with a rubber hammer. That wasn't working. So I went with a closed end 14 millimeter, a little tap, tap, tap. We end up doing the same thing on this one down here. Hey, I want to step in here and tell you that I popped the hood, took the cap off the brake fluid, laid it up here. That way when I go straight squeezing in on the calipers, the brake fluid will be able to rise because it's going to push back on it, okay? The car will end up needing less brake fluid to operate a full new set of brakes. So the way I normally have always done this is always taking both of these out, which I've already done. I've already taken both of them out. And when we worked on my Camaros, my dad and I, we always made sure these were clean and greased before we reapplied them, because this caliper needs to be able to slide on there freely. I've already taken these out. These look pretty good. I'm just going to re-grease them before I put them back in there. And of course, that's not greasing the threads. That's greasing the shaft here. And so it still has some remains of what would be some grease, but I'm going to re-grease them. And this just the shaft part, not the threaded part, okay? Clean this up and re-grease it. I have heard of some people, when they do this, they just take one bolt out of the way and lean this thing over and place the brakes and push the plunger back before they replace the brakes and put the thing back up there and put the bolt back in, and there they go. So if we do that, I'm not sure if we are or not, I'm gonna go ahead and grease that bolt and put it back in. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so this is what we have. Took both bolts out. See this plunger here? This has got to be pushed back before you put your brakes in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a C-clamp. And I'm going to put one of the old brakes in here and a C-clamp on the back of it. And I'm going to squeeze the plunger back in. Now when I squeeze this plunger in, you gotta be careful, don't pinch this boot. And also when you squeeze this in, the brake fluid level in the reservoir underneath the hood is gonna raise a little bit. Also, don't just let this thing hang. All right, I'm gonna end up setting it back up here until I can find something to set it on top of, because that's not good for the brake line. These are old brake lines in this car. This is a 2006, so you can imagine how old these brake lines are, and it wouldn't be good just let it hang. So I may just end up setting it up here, okay? Okay, this is what I got for brakes. I got the Duralast Elite Brake pads for a full set, I paid maybe right at 100. The shop was wanting to charge $600 to do a full brake job. I'm at right at $100, and this is some of the better brakes that they carry. Okay, so that's the front. This is the rear. The rear are smaller than the front, and so this is what we're going to put on here, and they should last us a while, supposedly. Okay. Where's the part number? Here's the part number. As far as I know, this is the right ones in the right box. Okay. I got them from AutoZone. Duralast Elite. Look, to take these out is super easy. All you gotta do is just grab on them and pull right out. These metal clips are what puts tension on them to hold them in place. The Duralast come with new clips. It says hardware included where required by OE. I'm gonna be honest with you, last time I put brakes on one of these Impalas, I used the clips that are already on it because they fit just fine. Unless I see a reason why it's necessary to change these clips out, I'm not going to. I'll kind of let you know. I just don't see why it's necessary to change the clips if the brakes fit exactly the same. So the one for the front is the one that doesn't have the little deal that goes against the drum, or excuse me, the rotor. It makes a little screeching noise when your brakes wore out. Y'all, I find this funny. I've seen brakes far worse than this. But the car does have stopping issues. So I am going to change it. I have worn brakes down far worse than this. I'm just going to go ahead and get this done. I've got the brakes, the new brakes, so I might as well go ahead and use them. One for the rear, same thing. Just take that joker and wiggle on it, wiggle it out of place. Okay, see how this one's going? It'll be wearing a little crooked. So that's the one with the clip. That's the one that goes on the back side. Should you have your rotors turned? I don't know. Should you? These rotors look like they're in pretty good shape. I'm not going to have these rotors turned. I'm not going to replace the rotors. I'm just putting on the new brakes. So what I did is I just slid this joker up in place, and then down the bottom, it may take some attention with a screwdriver or something to squeeze it in place. But it's just going to snap right in place. Okay, so what I did is I took it back out, I put the bottom in first, then I pushed the top right in place. Okay, same thing with the bottom. You put the back side in first, then top side. It's amusing how I can do something when it's not on camera, but when it is on camera, I can't do it the same. There we go. So, put the bottom in place first, the top side goes right in place. As you can see, I'm reusing the old ones. I'm gonna tell you, use your own judgment on that. We've got the new hardware, I'm reusing the old hardware. So some of those Impalas, they have different kinds of plungers in the calipers. And like some of them are just a regular plunger, like both my 2010 and 2006. But the different one, they've got a special tool that you have to use. This is you just squeeze on it and you can push it right back. So I don't know what your models, or if they kind of mixed it or what. I was kind of worried about what I was going to run into. Maybe it's different on the front. I don't know. So far, the back is fine. I've never put brakes on the front of this car. I've only put brakes on our 2010 Impala. So I guess might be surprised with what's on the front. So far, I'm not surprised with what's on the back. I kind of like it. So this is going to be to push in, put the brake on the caliper. the old one, and I'm gonna push that plunger back in. Okay, how do you like that contraption? We've got the brake up against it. This C-clamp is about maxed out. This is a 4-inch C-clamp, and this is what I've got in the back, on the back of this nut that holds, bolt that holds the brake line on. The other side is on the old brake pad, and I'm going to squeeze that plunger in. All done. That's pretty easy. Just got to hold your mouth right to be able to hold the whole thing in one hand. You just set it right back in place. Okay, right where it was. And I'm going to take those, put a little grease on the shafts, and knot on the threads. Reinstall them, tighten it up, and put the wheel back on. Be good as gold. So I'm putting a very light coat of grease on these because I don't want the grease to end up actually getting to where the threads are going to be whenever I put these back in. So just make sure you put it on there really thin. And the one that had the, not that it, I don't know that it matters, but the one that has the black plastic thing on the end, that one came out of the bottom side here. So that's where I'm going to put it back. And again, that was a 14 millimeter. Going in the bottom here, going in the top here. Okay, so when you go put these things on, see what I was already doing here? See these boots? These need to be pushed in. That way they'll go directly under here. So when you put the bolt through, they'll go through the middle of this boot. So I had it kind of goofed up on the top and the bottom. Okay, so I had to look up the torque. So just so you know, these two bolts here, they're called slide pins. And what I found on the internet says that these are 32 torque. Okay, back to what I was saying. Got interrupted. My daughter came outside. So these are called slide pins. The threaded bolts that are only threaded like so deep, they actually only thread into the caliper itself. Okay, they only screw into this part, and then the pin part slides into here. So it allows for some movement, and being that they're captured around the brake, it's not going anywhere. Okay, and that pin is going to this part, which is bolted on here. Okay, so what I came up with, and if I remember, I'll throw a picture in this video. The slide pins are 32 foot-pounds for the rear. I gave a couple other torque specs. One of them I didn't know what it was. It's something about banjo, and the other one I believe is where it actually, this bolt here it may have been. But you get these torqued down. Got my trusty Harbor Freight torque wrench, and we'll get this torqued down and the wheel back on, and we may take time to do the other side. See how this moves? This is perfectly normal. See it squeeze back, slides back and forth. This is perfectly normal because that plunger has it pushed on the back of that brake pad, unless you go in, get in the car and press on the brakes to get that plunger to push against the brakes. Okay, so there's a little bit of gap in there right now, so which is fine. I'm gonna put the wheel back on here and get this thing buttoned up, and I think I'm gonna check and see what time it is and do the other side. So you know how I was talking about how the Impala tires over time wear a lot on the rear? I always wondered if it has something to do with the way this protector is for these coil springs. It makes them rub on the back of here sometimes. You know, I always use a shorter socket wrench so I can tighten these up a whole lot easier, a whole lot faster. You know, I just snug them up with this, and then I use the larger wrench and to finish tightening them up all the way. It's a whole lot faster, and obviously it looks better when you're not filming with one hand and all, but it's just a whole lot easier to do it with a little short socket wrench until you get ready to really tighten them down. Okay, snugged up with these pretty new lug nuts, and I'm gonna pull these blocks out, let the car down on the wheel, and then I'm gonna torque it down. Okay, one last thing, just in case you didn't know, most people do when they deal with things like this, but if you're a newbie to doing something like this, whenever you're torquing your wheels down, always make sure that you torque them down in a crisscross pattern. You don't want to be doing something like going clockwise or counterclockwise or something like that. Do here, 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 and then here. It doesn't matter which pattern you start in, the whole point is you're crisscrossing, okay? All right, because otherwise you could get things kind of shifted there, okay? Crisscrossing, boom, 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 boom. It doesn't matter if you start here, go to here, 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 all right? Y'all, thanks for watching this video. This has been Jason, changing some brakes on a 2006 Chevrolet Impala. This was the rear, and we're gonna do the other side after we get something done, maybe grab a bite to eat, and I'll tackle the front some other day. Thank y'all. Hope you have a great day, and here go my people. Later, y'all. Have a good one.